Okay, so we are live on Zoom or on YouTube. We are here on Zoom. Okay, the time is 10:32. This is the Libertarian Party of Indiana. Chairman Evan McMahon calling the meeting on Saturday, April 15th, 2023 to order. Mr. Secretary, Mr. Schultz, if you would call the roll, please, sir.
Right. Chair McMahon is here. Secretary Schultz is here. Vice Chair Hudson.
Here.
The treasurer, Mr. Schultheis, is absent. Tech Director Hagerman.
Here for 102.99. That works.
Tech Director Hagerman.
Here.
Ms. Alexander, membership.
Here.
Copeland, political.
Here.
Smith for communications is not here. D1 Schick.
Here.
D2 Proxy Cotton.
Here.
Avery, D3.
Here.
D4 Lundy.
Guten Tag.
D5 Shillings.
Here.
D6 Proxy Silver.
Here.
D7 Johnson.
Here.
D9 Kinzer.
Here.
You did skip Mr. Engelberth in 8th.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Engelberth is absent in 8th. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So I count 14 members present, including you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Schultz. Next on the agenda is the adoption of the agenda. Are there any amendments or changes to the agenda at this time?
Yes, I would like to add 3 minutes if possible to talk about the Indy Pride event and funding related to that for Marion County.
I believe I heard Mr. Johnson from Marion County 7th District ask for 5 minutes of time to be added to the agenda.
Sure, 5 minutes.
Okay.
I recall that he specified that it would be in new business before executive session.
That is correct.
All right. Any objection to that addition to the agenda? Okay, hearing no objection, that amendment is added. Are there any other amendments to the agenda? Hearing no calls for amendments, is there any objection to passing the agenda as amended? Hearing none, the agenda is adopted. Appointment of timekeeper, Mr. Copeland, I'm going to appoint you timekeeper. It is a thankless job that we will ignore at our leisure and our pleasure. But if you can keep the time, please. Reports of officers, starting with the chair. We have had quite a few issues with CiviCRM with the national system as of late. In the span of 3 days, we had 7 different people who had their permissions messed with or altered or something by the system, where they were not able to access the system. They could only see themselves, so they were unable to do their jobs. This included Mr. Lundy, Kristen Alexander as membership director, a couple of the county party officers that we were onboarding. So there were some significant issues. We've also noticed that every 2 days in the evening, the website goes down all across the country. All of our websites go down, and it requires somebody to manually log in to do something at the national level. There have been quite a few issues that have only really started happening in the past couple of weeks. I've been spending a lot of my time in communication with the tech team and Andy Bukovich, the CTO, about these issues, trying to fix them. As of right now, Kristen Alexander, as the membership director, is unable to send an email through Civi to any of the members, and no one knows how to fix it. We aren't able to use Mosaico. As a matter of fact, any system triggered emails other than donation receipts are not going out. So most of you remember, when you first went through the training, you had to get the email code first to be able to log in the first time before you could set up the secondary two-factor authentication. Nobody's receiving that email when we're setting up their account. So there are some significant CRM issues going on right now. I just want people to be abreast of that when you're talking to your county officers or volunteers that are using the system. Tell them to log out, wait 15 minutes, log back in. If there continues to be a problem for their account, please ask them to email either myself or Mr. Hagerman. You might want to reach out to Mr. Hagerman first, or both of us at the same time, and we will do what we can to try to help. But there is a systemic issue and problem right now. So just be patient. These things, one way or the other, will be resolved. As many of you might have received, the newsletter, the membership newsletter went out and it looked great. Kristen helped fold and stuff all of those envelopes, which was great. She did an amazing job. Please do send your stuff in for that. We are not including the district reports in it because it's a quarterly newsletter. But if there's anything that you would like to have for your district or a county or anything like that, encourage people to write articles. You'll see that there was an article from Mr. Cotton, which I did pare down a little bit, Mr. Cotton, sorry, it was a little long. Mr. Cotton had an article. We had something from Lucy Britton, past vice chair. We had something from Rhonda Green, the county chair of Washington County. And there was another one that I'm forgetting right now. But Mr. Lundy, yours is on deck for the next one. The article that you submitted. But yeah, so please feel free to submit stuff. Both myself and the vice chair, Ms. Hudson, will always have an article in there. So she's going to start working on that so that she'll have her from the vice chair column in the next edition. The 94 Society monthly newsletter will also be going out next week. That's already locked. We already have the content for that, but do please, we want to feature our county parties and our candidates in the 94 Society monthly. So do please send us things that we can use in that, including high quality pictures. Membership cards. We were trying to print some of a while ago, we had the really nice, cool, professionally printed membership cards that we could print the membership data over the top of. A couple weeks ago, me and Kristen started doing that, and there is a film on top of the card that was melting when the cards were being printed in bulk, and we could only print them one every 3 minutes. With 590 members, printing them one every 3 to 5 minutes was not sustainable. I contacted the manufacturer of the printer. They actually produce cards as well. So we ordered those cards, and surprise for Kristen, they came yesterday. They actually came 2 weeks early, so they are here. We also have postcards that we had printed so that we can attach the membership card to the postcard. They're going into an envelope. They're not being mailed that way, but it's just a nice professional looking card that we can send out. And we can also use those postcards for other announcements and things like that. Let's see. Checks. I am sitting on a $3,000 check from one of our vendors, and a $5,000 check was not received. And I contacted that vendor on Wednesday, and they apologized. They did send it. They're not sure what happened. So they sent out another one with a tracking number on it, and it is scheduled to be here Monday, delivery for Monday. So I've got, essentially, as of Monday, I'll have $8,000 in checks to deposit. So bear that in mind when you see the treasurer's report, which he did email out, and I will mention that for him when it comes to his treasurer's report. National membership drop. I know a lot of people have been concerned about that, seeing that Indiana lost over 100 national members. That's BS. We did not lose that. As a matter of fact, I believe we went up in membership in the last 2 months. What happened is kind of technical, but when they were doing their final merges with the CRM, there were a lot of people in 2021 leading up to the national convention qualification deadline. I spent that summer calling people who were active members but had not signed the pledge, and got 70 of them to switch to signed pledge. when they were doing the last merge, those people got reverted back to no sign, as well as there are quite a few triple members listed in the system that somehow are no longer considered national members. Their national membership listing is gone. So I am working on correcting those. And we will be back up to the correct number. My estimate is I think we actually went up by 5 to 10 members in the last month. So that number is not accurate. So if people are asking you about it, just, let them know it's not an accurate number. Indiana did not lose 100 national members in a month and a half. Let's see, what else was there? State fair, I'd like for us to start considering doing state fair preparations, considering doing that. I believe the application process is going to be opening up the end of this month, I think is their timeline. So if we would like to have a booth at the state fair, it's a lot of people. It's a lot of volunteer hours is what I mean, because you have to have somebody there every hour that they are open every day. So it's something to think about. Yeah.
Do you know what hours they're open every day? Like what the hours are?
I do not, because they changed them last year and I know that they're changing them again this year. Any other questions about any of the topics from the officers, from the chair's report? Any other questions in general for the chair?
I have one question.
Mr. Cotton, go ahead.
The newsletters, the LPIN or 1994, have you considered doing a electronic copy that's available off the website?
We won't do that for the 94 because that is only for the 1994 Society members. They will be emailed out. Because of the tech issues we're having, we did not email out the quarterly newsletter to all of the members. But that is the goal, is to do that. But because of the tech issues, we just wasn't worth trying to fight with it to try to get it to work. And by sending it out, I don't mean sending a PDF. I mean sending a link where they can view it and download it.
Right, download it.
Yeah, but there, like I said, there's problems sending emails right now through the system. So hopefully, I doubt this 94 Society one will be able to be sent electronically to the 94 Society members. I highly doubt that it will be resolved by then, considering it's next week. But it is something that we would like to do when the capability is returned. Any other questions? Okay, hearing none. Madam Vice Chair, floor is yours.
Okay. Events that I attended the past month, March 19th, I went to the Vanderburgh County Convention down in Evansville. And it was very nice. Brett McDonald was named the new chair for Vanderburgh County, and Michael Daugherty announced his being nominated for mayor of Evansville as the Libertarian candidate. So that's all good. I attended the District 5 service Saturday on April 8th, and I'm sure Lori will elaborate on that more when the District 5 rep gets her turn. But she had a great turnout. There was a lot of people that came to help restock the pantries, and it was also a beautiful day. So and also coming up this next Saturday, April 22nd, I will be attending the iNormal rally. It's their 4th annual activism rally in Bloomington on the Monroe County Courthouse lawn. And I believe Darren Kinzer is scheduled to speak there as well. So if you guys have time next Saturday, that would be a good event to attend. And I think that's all I have for now.
Any questions for the Vice Chair? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to the Treasurer's Report. I'll just briefly state you guys received the Treasurer's Report, I believe. Yes, everybody received it from Mr. Schultheis. I believe it was 31,000 across all accounts. Michael said it was closer to 32,000, but I just saw the 31 number and some change, so I'm going with the 31,000 number. And I believe we have paid most everything, all of our big annual expenses, things like that. Agility was paid for out of that. That's our press release system. So I think all of our large payments that we typically have for the year already came out of that. Mr. Copeland.
Does that figure include the checks that you stated that you have?
No, it does not. Those don't get counted until they get deposited. So no. So we're basically at between 40 and 41,000, roughly. Any questions about the treasurer's report? Okay, hearing none. Mr. Secretary.
Okay, I sent out the minutes briefly after the last meeting, but just a few days ago, I did do a slight revision, adding the addendum to the meeting, which was the results of the electronic ballot that was conducted prior to my tenure, but I was assistant secretary at the time, so I did have it in my own inbox, so that was nice. Still, getting used to the new email format. I got access to the Google Drive where the secretary keeps all of the documents. So any reports, any county forms or anything that you send to me, courtesy copies of CSA 4s, whatever, are being saved. So, encourage you to keep sending those things. We'll keep them as we get them. Also, we will, whenever we approve the minutes, we will also want to approve the minutes for the February SCC meeting, which I also emailed out briefly after last meeting because I did not have them at the last meeting.
Mr. Schultz, are you putting a motion forward to separately approve the amended? I guess that was the amended February meeting and the March meeting minutes.
Oh yeah, the amendment would have been the March meeting because the electronic ballot took place after the February meeting.
Gotcha.
But yes, I would like to. I don't know if does that normally happen during the secretary report?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, I'd like to start by moving to accept the February minutes that I emailed out.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Hagerman. Any objection to adopting the minutes as presented for the February SCC meeting? Hearing no objection, the minutes are adopted.
Okay, and I would then like to also move to accept the amended March minutes, including the addendum with the results of the electronic ballot.
I'll second.
Seconded by Ms. Alexander. Is there any objection? Hearing no objection, the minutes are adopted.
All right, and then just as a matter of note, I did email the officers the minutes or draft minutes of the executive session. So those will be approved or discussed electronically by the officers. Same deal with any future executive sessions. They do get approved, but only by the officers via email.
When did you email that? Is it
Just
posted?
now.
Okay.
Just
because I didn't get it. Okay. Any questions for the secretary? Or is there, I'm sorry, Mr. Schultz, is there anything else? I'm sorry.
I don't, just continue to think about who we should have as assistant secretary. I'd like to have one by the June, or I'd like to appoint one at the June meeting if possible.
Did you have anybody in mind, Mr. Schultz?
Sadly, no. If I did have people in mind, it would be from my own district, and that would be, I think we want to spread the love. So.
Fair. So actually, if the district reps, if anybody has any suggestions, I think we actually said that before that we wanted to have, I think it was by the May meeting, a name for assistant secretary. And I think we said assistant treasurer as well, didn't we?
There were a couple positions.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so let's double our efforts, refocus on that. District reps, if you guys can come up with a couple of names for assistant secretary and assistant treasurer by our next meeting, that would be great. Any questions?
And-
for the- Go ahead.
You obviously don't have to do this, but as a personal courtesy, if you could talk to me about, just so I'm not surprised, or so I can talk to the person or whomever before you bring it up at the meeting. I obviously can't stop you from doing that, but it just makes things smoother if everybody's talking ahead of time. And if I get the impression no one has ideas, I will start asking people shortly before the next meeting. So I won't do that if I think that there are people coming forward with names.
All right, any questions for the secretary? Okay, hearing none. We do not have an LNC update because the LNC chair or the LNC rep is not here. Let's see. I did not attend the last LNC meeting virtually because it was just a couple of days after the passing of my mother, so I did not attend. I was on the agenda to speak about a motion for the CRM. That has been postponed to May, the May meeting. I do not think they had a meeting this month, or I don't think they have a scheduled meeting for the month of April. Other than that, I'm sure that there are things that have been said and done that have been discussed. I'm just not going to bring them up, or I don't know about them in either case. So I'm not going to take any questions about the LNC update. Sorry. Moving on to reports of directors. Mr. Paul Copeland, political director. Floor is yours, sir.
All right. Well, I have been busy with a couple of different things. I was working on a project to help bring all of our contact for county affiliate officers up to date. We were able to correct quite a few counties. Haven't heard from several other counties, and I have one or two updates to that listing that still need to be pushed over to Chuck so that we can reflect that on our website. I've also been trained. Thank you again to Chuck for the process on getting candidates updated and put onto our website through the CRM. So as of right now, I believe we have a total of 8 candidates listed on the LPIN website. I have a couple more candidates that need to be processed through. Either they've not filed paperwork with the counties, or various other things have held that up. And then Danny Lundy has trained me on the back end of the eCanvasser app. We're working to cut walk lists, create surveys, and get everything prepared for our outreach efforts this year. Upcoming event on the 22nd that I'm sure Danny will also speak to for his candidacy down in Morgan County to get people trained as well. All district reps, I encourage you to get your people down there so that we can, if they haven't had training, familiarize them with the process and what we expect of our canvassers. And then I do have an addendum that wasn't included in my report. Evan reached out to me yesterday or the day before, and there were quite a few counties that were confused about the deadline for their pre-primary filings. We're going to be working to standardize that. I'm going to be learning the calendar myself and creating a process, putting it in place to make sure that we don't have these little whoopsie moments where people don't have their filings or are thinking that their candidates have to file and not the party themselves.
Thank you, Mr. Copeland. Any questions for the political director? Okay, hearing none. Communications, Mr. Smith is not here today. again, the big thing for him right now is just sending us the content. And remember, anything like that, you can send it directly to him at comms, but if it's a press release that needs to go out, it needs to go to media@lpin.org. Media makes sure that the entire comms team sees it so that we can send it out as a press release within that timetable. So it's not just one person getting eyes on it, it's 3 of us seeing it. So press releases go to media, but all other comms related things go directly to Andrew for comms. And that is the best way to do it. Instead of sending me the articles for the newsletter, please send them to Andrew at comms@lpin.org. That's COMMS@lpin.org. Any questions about communications? Okay, hearing none. Tech Director, Mr. Chuck Hagerman.
All right. So I was doing some stuff with events myself, and while I was in there, I saw several county events that didn't have all the tags, and I corrected some of those. So, and then people have contacted me when they couldn't get their event to show up on the calendar, and I fixed a bunch of those. I created some candidates in Civi before I trained Paul, but now he can do it as well. I've modified the candidate information form and to add some additional information such as campaign manager, treasurer, or other major volunteers so that we can also associate those with the campaign. Evan sent out an email, and I forwarded this to Paul, that we need to enter both the start and end dates when we're creating these candidates. And I was only putting in the start date. So I pulled all the candidates and updated those. And we are also putting in it's in the notes of the description, what office people are running for, so that it, if you see it, makes it, especially if people have multiple campaigns over years, you'll be able to see what office that is. So I think that'll be good for us to have. I updated information from the county affiliate forms. For those people that filled them out, what I saw towards the end of it was a lot of communication information that we really didn't have a place for in Civi. And so I created county pages. So if you go into, I don't know, I think there's a half dozen counties that now have those pages, because many counties didn't fill them out. But if you click on it, if you go to the county and you click on it, it'll take you to another page, which will give, the email, the phone number, Facebook, Twitter, all those, whatever I have, it's all on that page. So if people need to get a hold of you, then they can get to you from there. Let's see, I updated all of the information that changed from the convention, and I started, since almost everything changed. We had new district reps, we had new almost everything. I created a list so that someday, if I'm not the tech director, a person will have a list of all the things that need to be changed after conventions, because there's generally going to be a lot of things. And so I've got how you change it, where you change it, and I've created this document. And that's it for me. Are there any questions?
Less of a question and some tasks to throw on you.
All right.
Mr. Hagerman, Ms. Schilling's name is spelled wrong under the district reps on the website, the front page of the website under the leadership. So if we can change that, there's an S in her name.
All right. Oh, yes. Okay.
Let's see. On all of the previous campaigns, candidates that are listed in the system, old ones, not current, but ones in years past, we need to go in and edit all of those to add the year at the end of their campaign name. So like Tanya Hudson ran several times. We need to have Tanya Hudson 2022 and Tanya Hudson 2018. That way we can differentiate which of the old campaigns there were. I know I'm just using it as an example, Tanya. But so we need to have those in there so that we can differentiate. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And then I don't remember what the last thing was that I was going to say. First up, it was Ms. Schillings.
Yeah, Chuck, you had mentioned that for some of the counties, you had created an individual page for them. Do you have a URL for one that you've made so I could look at that, what that looks like?
I know Allen County has one because it was the first one. It's the one I've been using as the template. So if you go in to the website, to the county map, the affiliate map, click on Allen. If you hover, you'll see the officers, but if you click on it, it'll take you to their page.
Okay. All right, because that's
I don't think
just for the region. I thought you had done it specifically for each county.
I did for every county that I have information that would go on that page.
Right,
Some counties, even that filled out the form, don't have that kind of contact information. They just gave us the officers. I updated those.
All
But
right,
I
thank
didn't want
you.
to lose all the information that they're putting in there. So
Thank you.
And I don't think it has a clean URL, Lori.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at to see if we could use that as the county page, the official county page, if people don't have websites.
Yeah, well, we're going to talk about that later today. That option. Mr. Kinzer.
I was just gonna ask in reference to like all the positions did change. So like when you go into Zoho and some names are different than what they should be on there. Is there a way to fix that to where it shows the correct names for the individuals? Like Alyssa still shows up as secretary on my side.
You need to submit, they need to update their, they need to use the affiliate update form, and then Chuck and Paul will update them. But you don't have the ability to change that. It has to be one of the state admins that does that, because we have to go in and change permissions and relationships. So that's why we use the county affiliate update form, is so that we know who the officers are and we can change that information. And it's a good
No,
idea.
I was just talking about, Mr. Chair, I was just talking about like when I go into Zoho to send an email out to the secretary, it comes up and gives me Alyssa's name, not Clayton's.
Right. Hopefully that will also change Monday. But yes, that is stupid. Actually, when I email Tanya Hudson, it says LPIN chair is who it's going to. And it freaked me out because I kept thinking I was emailing myself.
We are at time.
Thank you, Mr. Copeland. Mr. Lundy, did you have your hand up for a question?
No, I realize it's later on the agenda. Never mind.
Okay. Moving on, membership, Miss Kristen Alexander.
Hello. So since convention, we've had 7 new members. We've had one member who rejoined after being gone for a couple of years. We currently have 590 active memberships, 523 total individual members. There are 85 1994 Society 8 annual, 194 LPIN annual, and 222 triple members. You guys have the report, so I won't go into all the details. Shout out to District 4 for having the number of highest total members. And we mailed out a stack of birthday cards last week, and we did take care of a few brand new members. They received membership cards, and a couple of members that had been complaining about not receiving their card also got their card a couple of weeks ago, just after convention. So that's all I've got.
Just so everybody knows, Kristen comes to my house twice a week on Mondays and Wednesdays to get a lot of the work done, do a lot of those things. And so that's why we're able to get caught up on these things and hopefully get in a position where we're not trying to play catch up, but actually being ahead of the game. So when a new member is eligible to receive their membership kit, it goes out that same week. So she's doing a great job in taking a lot of the burden off of me, which is amazing. And so thank you, Kristen, for doing such a great job. Any questions for Ms. Alexander? Okay, hearing none. Thank you again. District 1, Mr. Schick.
Okay, as far as I know, we only have one candidate for this coming year. It's a gentleman named Mike Walker, who's running in Michigan City. I forget which office, but it's, city council, I think. We've got a couple of interested people from Valparaiso and Chesterton that we're still, trying to figure out if they're going to actually be on the ballot or not. And I forget when the deadline is for that, but we've kept our conventions open so that we can name them up until the last minute. And so still hoping to get maybe one or two more candidates. And then other than that, everything's pretty much status quo. Lake County continues not to have regular meetings. I've been in contact with Chuck though, and they've got their CFA4 forms filled and stuff like that. And LaPorte County they have twice a month meetings that they continue to have, and that's good. And they've got the municipal candidate in Michigan City. So the only kind of thing that I wanted to follow up on or ask about is I need to get CRM training, and there's a couple of other people here in District 1 that would like to get either a refresher or trained on CRM. And Evan, is it still you that handles that, or who should I go to for CRM training?
Yep, it's still me. On Sunday, I'm going to put up a couple of days that I'll send to all of the district reps for people to sign up for CRM training. We're going to do them as groups, but there'll be like 3 or 4 days that people can sign up for it.
Wonderful. Thank you. That's it for District 1. Unless there's any questions. All right, we'll go to District 2 then.
District 2, Mr. Cotton.
Oh, let's see here. Kosciuszko County, they've got their meeting set up here. Had a meeting on 4/13. Their meetings will be set for the first Thursday of the month, starting after this week. They're also starting the third Fridays in Warsaw starting in May, and that should be going on all summer. And they do have a social gathering every week. They do a trivia night on Thursdays at Hopler Brewery. They actually just won a clock from from their trivia team scores. So, they've been going out there and making a pretty good impression here just about every week. Their volunteer event this month for National Day of Service. They'll be doing a roadside cleanup, and they'll also have a booth event at the Lord de Hops festival here coming up. I want to say it's May here. Elkhart County, they hold their monthly business meeting on the second Saturday of every month at 2 p.m. at Goshen Public Library. They're going to start piggybacking off their business meetings to hold a series of political education classes starting on May 13th. That'll be held monthly. Topics of classes will vary with the different speakers on different subjects concerning civics and liberty. Just kind of a comment on that. They looking like we're being able to do some cross activism, not necessarily always affiliated with the Libertarian Party, but getting different groups involved. So it's getting just it's helping gather a little bit of mass. They're getting different groups involved. Let's see, they have some volunteer opportunities scheduled. Oh, all right. You want me to go ahead and keep going, or?
Nope, we need to keep just posted this. Please try to keep your district reports to 2 minutes. They're brief district reports. The written report is the long one. That's got all the detail in it. So please keep them to like the really important details, like an upcoming event or a candidate nomination or something like that. Really important stuff. So I'm gonna give you a minute, Mr. Cotton, if there's something important.
Okay. That's the main points there. And District 2 is also working on our combined website for District 2. That'll have some subdomains here for the individual counties. Looking at being able to launch that here this next week, at least with the basic website. Do a little bit of share costing on that, and help give a little bit of foundation for any new affiliates starting up. Be able to get them a website up and running quickly. That's what we got here for District 2.
Okay, thank you. District 3, Miss Avery.
All right, you can see my report that was submitted and a couple of additional things. We are also doing kind of an event like Tim mentioned called Chewing the Facts. We're doing that on May the 10th next month. And the topic is challenges faced by disabled people. And we have a member coming in to speak to us about those challenges. And it should be interesting because typically she feels that the Libertarian Party doesn't really focus on the needs of disabled people. So hopefully we can be better in that respect. We have 2 candidates in the district, Melanie, of course, and Ethan Gaudette in Allen County. They're both running for council. So hopefully we'll get some groundwork going with that, but that's pretty much it. Any questions?
Okay, hearing none. Actually, I have a question, Miss Avery. Has there been any follow-up with Wells County about the leadership change there? No, okay. Let's try to work on that this coming week, because I know they want to do that. Mr. Copeland?
I don't believe I've seen either of those candidates put their, maybe one of them has put their candidate form in.
They've both been given the link, so I will poke them to do that.
All right, thank you.
District 4, Mr. Lundy.
All right, start off with the tough one. Putnam County is struggling pretty hard. We're going to switch to just trying to schedule a meetup, not trying to schedule their convention. I know I've already talked to you and Michael about they need access to something like that's where their bylaws are. So we can even review those to see what's going on right now. So we're just going to shift back into, let's just try to have some meetups and see what we have to work with. Speaking of Boone County, that's going well. We had a good meetup. We only had 2 people. It was Alyssa, one other guy. But I have a new triple member that just showed up out of nowhere up there, and he's interested in getting more involved. So we're going to schedule another meetup, see if we can get something going. They have closed out their CFA 3, so we don't have to worry about filings. They filed their final CFA 4. They closed out their bank account. It was $180, which I have in my possession now. And I've gained access to their Facebook page so that we can schedule events or whatever. So things are on track in Boone County as far as just keeping things moving along. Hendricks County has a new candidate, Michelle Kelly, for Amo Town Council. That literally just happened, so she'll be filing her paperwork and be getting some information to you soon, Paul. Montgomery County is well underway on their legacy planning and getting documents put on a Google Drive, making sure people have access to it. All their forms should be done, CFA 3, CFA 4. New treasurer's been onboarded, so they're good there. Morgan County's filed all their stuff. We have a Mooresville cleanup day coming up on May 6th. And of course, we have the Get Out the Vote event on April 22nd. I'm the candidate in Morgan County. And Tippecanoe County has their big tax day protest on tax day, April 18th, I think it is, right? Yep. And they would love to have people come out and, wave some signs, whatever. They said it's a great event. 2 candidates. They got Benjamin Milanowski for mayor of Lafayette and Josiah Eller for city council. I believe all of their paperwork has been filed. You should have all the candidate information. So I think all the forms for District 4 have been filed both with the state and with the party. So I think we're good there on the documentation, and that's about it unless there are any questions.
So Boone County closed out their campaign committee, their regular party committee.
Yes, with the county. That way we don't have to worry about filing reports because all the officers had left. And so they at least took that step of saying, let's close everything out.
So technically under the law, if they have any candidates, if anybody decide, this is just an FYI, if they decide they want to have a candidate, it's going to have to come from a nomination from the state party, in which case I will be very angry. Because it requires me to get that paperwork filed within 3 days.
Listen, if we have somebody that excited that they want to run for office, I'm going to say, why haven't you stepped up to be an officer yet?
I'm just saying we will have to have.
Right. I don't anticipate having that problem in Boone County this year.
All right.
That'll be time.
Moving on to District 5, Ms. Schillings.
Good afternoon. I guess it's still morning technically. District 5 had a great service Saturday. We sponsored feedingteam.org, a wonderful food pantry system in Hamilton County. We visited the majority of their pantries that day. We had 3 different cars go out and do distribution of food, cleaning of the pantries, and restocking. And I know that Feeding Team is always really, really thankful for the work that we do. We distributed over $100 in food to them as a donation, as well as some of their own non-perishable goods. Grant County has 3 candidates upcoming, and as well as a fundraiser on May 13th with a food truck at Walnut Creek Sporting Goods in Gas City. They will continue their convention on June 4th at Green Acres Campground, and there will be possible door knocking events for their upcoming candidates. Hamilton County regular meeting scheduled next Wednesday, the 19th. I will be unavailable, but my vice chair will be there. Our reconvened convention will be May 17th at 5:30 at Pinheads to promote any possible candidates, of which we do have one who's interested running for mayor. We will let the membership vote on that. And then our District 5, we already talked about the service Saturday. They're in the report that I sent that I know that you all have a copy of. There's social media images of the big group that showed up. People that I had never seen before came. And I don't even think they're active members, but they were on my contact list. So I sent out emails to all of them. And I'll be definitely following up with that family to see if they'd like to either renew their membership or become members. Madison County has one candidate, Doug McNaughton, who's the chair, who has been very non-communicative with me about his information other than the email press release. I did reach out to Tipton County. We have a lack of leadership to keep that kind of affiliate running. I emailed both members, who neither one of them are leadership, to see if they would be interested in pursuing leadership for them. And that's pretty much all I have.
Okay, go ahead and ask anybody have any questions for Ms. Schillings?
Do you have any questions?
I have a question.
Yep.
I was wondering, is there a write-up on that Service Saturday event that we can repost on social media?
Okay, so we'll stop there, stop time. We do not publicly post about Service Saturday. It's like The Secret, if you're familiar with that concept. We do not take the curtain call for doing the good work. In Ms. Schilling's report for the district, you'll notice that the social media image was not posted by her or the county party. It was posted by the organization that they were helping. What we do is put it on our calendar and contact our volunteers and contacts, asking them to come and participate. This builds community and it's a team building exercise for us. And it shows that we're doing good in the community, but we don't take the curtain call about it. So we can talk about it internally, but we don't talk about it externally. Does that make sense?
Okay.
Cool. Awesome. Let's see. Mr. Silver, District 6.
Hello. Everything's good. Luke submitted his report. The only thing to add is we are in need of world's smallest political quizzes. Well, we have several events planned, and that's it. Everything else is good.
Have Mr. Lomax come to my house. I believe he has my address, and I can give him a few bundles. I actually have some sitting right there, so he can come and pick those up. At our in-person meeting, we will have more of them, and they will be distributed to the district reps. So the district reps will have them on hand. So if any of your counties need them, you can deliver them to your counties. Any questions for Mr. Silver? I do have a question, Mr. Silver.
Yes.
Did we get the insurance thing squared away for your event in the city park?
No, Sam's got all of it. He's still working. I really haven't been pushing on it because of what happened with his mom. I mean, we've got like what, 4 months to go. So
I just wanted to make sure because I knew there was paperwork that I was supposed to sign at the convention and I feel like I didn't do that. And
yeah,
so if there's something that you need from me when talking with Sam, please just let me know so that I can take care of it.
sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see. District 7, Mr. Johnson.
Hi, everybody. So on March 18th, we hosted a kind of an internal social event for our core members of 6 to 8 people. Cold called basically all of our current members in Indiana, just trying to get them to either sign up for national membership or to find out, hey, why aren't you involved? You have been a member for a long time, but you haven't showed up for a very long time. So haven't gotten like a bunch of results off of that, but we're still continuing to try to call those people and get more engagement out of the group. Then we had our April monthly and district meeting at the Antelope Club, first Monday of every month. And then we have some upcoming events. We're doing a social event for 420 at the previous 1205 distillery, which is the day after Prohibition. So we're just doing a social event there. And then we have upcoming events on Juneteenth and Pride in June. So that's what we're working on at the moment.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Any questions for District 7? I will throw District 7 under the bus here for a second and point out that for many years, Marion County, District 7, has been the leader in state membership. And at the current rate, I'm throwing you under the bus, sorry, that will change probably by the end of the year if the trajectory doesn't change, because you're really close to being the second most populous membership county. It's really close. So I want to light that spark under you. If you need help with, creating scripts or, doing things like that, please talk to me. Please talk to Kristen. Happy to help. But, I hate to see Marion County membership, that low. And to have a county like Morgan County or Hamilton County or St. Joseph County beat Marion County for membership. So it's
Time.
Okay. Any other questions for Mr. Johnson in District 7? Okay. Hearing none. Mr. Engelberth is not here for District 8. So we will go ahead and jump over to District 9, Mr. Darren Kinzer.
So, excuse me. So District 9, status quo, they're holding their meetings. All of our affiliates are, except for Jackson County. They're continuing to not hold meetings. They're telling me in the foreseeable future, they don't see any meetings being set. I am working with some people in Jackson County to start, trying to get the meetings going. I gave them information for Craig Reynolds, the chair there, so that way they can reach out to him. They're one of them's a new member, Rick. So he's very excited to grow Jackson County. So he wants to help there. Maybe in the future, if Craig can't do it, maybe Rick can step up to help grow that affiliate. Washington County is also, they've got 2 candidates running. Tommy Brown is running for mayor down there. Tina Ransom's running for, I believe, the council seat there as well. Jennifer down in Floyd County has 4 candidates running. Josh Turner, of course, down there is running for the county council at large seat. He's the current district council member down there now. He switched to our party. We love having him down there. He's a great guy. He's going to definitely help Jennifer in that county. He's brought a couple people with him. Logan David Gramlin is also going to be running for District 1. Jeff Mayotte is running for District 2, and Andrew Nicholson is going to be running for New Albany County or New Albany city clerk. They had their convention yesterday, so they're all nominated. I will get them the link to get their candidates updated to the state side. So that way we have that list as well. There was one extra person that Josh knew in Floyd County that actually lives in Clark County that's interested in running down there. So I told him I got him with Russell, and they're working on that right now to try to figure out exactly if that individual is going to run. I don't know that person's name, but at this time yet. Jennifer's trying to get me that information. May 13th is the service Saturday for us. We're looking at doing something in Floyd County. Tomorrow is our district call, and we'll have more information on that from Jennifer. Once I have that district call tomorrow, she's working with those guys to find out exactly what we can do for Service Saturday. Other than that, it's the status quo right now, and we're trying to do our best to get the meetings, continue the meetings going, and get more candidates.
Mr. Kinzer, I sent you an email and Mr. Hoferkamp connecting you to Mr. Schwartz. I
Yes.
didn't see a follow-up email.
I did reply to our email to Mr. Schwartz, telling him that I will connect him with Ron, and told him when the meetings were normally set, and I'm gonna work with Ronald to get with Mr. Schwartz to get him at the meetings.
Okay, perfect. Also be prepared. I'm going to be calling you probably Monday or Tuesday about something else that's happening in Floyd County that we'll be making a big announcement about. But just a heads up.
Awesome. I look forward to hearing that. One other thing is, of course, Monroe County is going to be holding a convention next month, reopening their convention next month, so that way they can redo their leadership roles there. The current chair there has resigned and stepped down and turned over everything to the current vice chair there. She's acting as the CHIP chair as of right now. She'll be on our district call tomorrow.
And we're going to pause time there for a second. So this is a process thing. The important thing is even though you are reopening your convention, and Monroe County and Darren and Kristen and the team down there, we hashed this out over the phone and got this all done correctly. But this has actually come up within a couple other counties that I've dealt with this past week. So for you guys as the district reps, remember that even though you are reconvening your convention, filling vacancies for officers requires notice to the members prior to. Your bylaws probably say 30 days. So you have to send that notice beforehand. You can't just reconvene the convention at the next business meeting and appoint new officers. It has to be done ahead of time. If a member did not know that that was happening at the reconvened convention, they could question the legitimacy of that election for that officer because they were disenfranchised. They didn't know it was happening. So you have to send that notice ahead of time. We had one county that's wanting to do this, and they had an urgency, and unfortunately they have to wait the 30 days giving that notice. And it is a good idea to have a 30-day notice because it is something important. So you don't want to try to mess with the bylaws to shorten that period. You need to give that 30-day notice. In the event of an officer resigning or being incapacitated and unable to serve, the next officer takes that position as acting. They're not interim. They still hold their titles. So like Sydney in Monroe County is not the chair. She is the vice chair. She is just assuming the duties of the chair until a new chair is elected by the membership at the meeting. Does that make sense to everybody? Everybody understand? Okay, perfect. And when you, when you're sending that notice, you don't say to elect, Danny Lundy as the county chair. You say, we're filling a vacancy for this office. You can say that there is a declared candidate. And by the way, any office that is vacant, so even if like in Monroe County, they're only dealing with a vacancy in the chair because that's who just resigned. If they didn't have a secretary, they also have to say that the secretary position is vacant and open for nomination. So bear that in mind, okay? Because somebody could come and run for the secretary position. So you have to give that full notice. Okay. And if you have any questions about that, feel free to email me and I can help you draft that notice if need be. I worked with Darren to help him get his done while I was fielding like 600 other phone calls at the same time in the car driving with Kristen, who drives crazy. You know it. Okay, moving on.
Just a quick question though, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Just, I didn't see a list come out of any counties that hadn't filed their reports or anything, so I'm certain that everyone has filed in this district. Am I correct about that?
I called all of the ones that I received from the state. That my day was really crappy yesterday. I woke up with 32 things on my to-do list that I wanted to get finished by the end of the day, and I got 6 of them done because I spent a lot of my day calling county chairs and treasurers to say, hey, I have 13 counties that did not file or had not filed yet. The deadline is noon today, and I believe everyone filed.
Yeah, I was just curious about Jackson County because I hadn't heard back from them, so I wasn't for sure if they had
I
got
think
those
they
filed.
file with the county.
Okay, so I just need to check with the county then on them then.
Yeah, if they file with the county, uh, I don't know about that. Because I
What's
get
the
the
process
list.
of getting these counties switched over to the state side? Is that possible?
It is. That's an offline conversation. We can
Okay.
talk about that later. There's a couple
Okay.
counties that I'm working with that right now, but essentially they need to close out their listing with the county and then go through the process with the state. It's
Okay.
it's not complicated, but
We'll talk later on that then.
Yep. Okay. This is our 10-minute break. So without objection, we'll take our 10-minute break. Do remember that we are still live streaming, and we are being recorded, so don't do anything inappropriate.
Time to return is 11:43 a.m. Eastern time.
Thank you for that.
Since we're on break, I'll mention that affiliates who do file with the county should send a copy of their CFA and a confirmation that it's been filed to the chair and the secretary. That way they have it like, hey, we see that that was done and it's off our list. And it's also, we then have a backup in case somebody says you didn't file it. Nope, here's the stamped thing, right? Like, so that's a very good practice.
And there are counties that have been actively doing that. Honestly, regardless of where you file it, the county should probably send a courtesy copy to the chair and the secretary. So we've received, there's a couple county, I think St. Joseph County was the one that stands out in my mind. When they filed with their CFA 4 with the state, they sent a copy, they emailed me and the secretary and their county clerk, letting them, here's the courtesy copy. And the county clerk responded positively to it. It's a good practice to have. Yeah, I just recommend just sending them to us regardless of where you're filing it. That way we have a copy of it. Mr. Scheck.
Well, I didn't think you wanted to be bothered with all those county emails, so I haven't copied you.
Yeah, absolutely.
I submitted mine and asked Michelle Thompson is the person at the state that I've sent the emails to. She has not replied. I asked her to reply that she had received it and she hasn't. I don't know is there like an official way to get a response that they've been submitted?
I don't think Michelle Thompson works there anymore. You want to send them to Abby Taylor, and it's
great.
taylor@iec.in.gov. I will email you her contact information just to make sure I spelled that right, because I'm not 100% sure that I did.
He's been there. Yeah, Michelle was there for a long time, and I didn't get an out of office. If I'd gotten some kind of like an out of office reply or something, then I would have tried to figure out who to send it to. So
I always recommend any of the forms to send to Abby Taylor because she's really good at responding and dealing with them right away.
All right. Well, I'll resend mine right now and I'll copy you.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's abtaylor@iec.in.gov, I believe is the email address.
Would you say hi to everybody, Alex?
Hi. How old are you, Alex?
2.
You're 2.
Yeah.
Wow. Do you have a job?
No.
No, you don't have a job yet?
No.
We're working on it.
Evan, you cannot recruit him. He's too young right now.
Well, that's just not true.
Would you like to fold letters?
Yeah.
Yeah? Awesome.
I mean, didn't you see the photo, Darren? I had my 7-year-old granddaughter making buttons for my campaign. So
You're old enough to have a 7-year-old granddaughter?
yes,
Danny's like 63.
not. I'm nearly 50.
I'd say he's about 63 out of 100. That's fair.
I'll accept that too.
Damn kids.
Whatever, boomer.
Whatever.
So, I don't know what, when should I be expecting more, direction on some of the teams, such as the membership team and the data team?
The data team, you answer to Danny Lundy. So direction from him. I know he's adding a couple other people to the data team. The membership team, you're going to work with Kristen because she's the director. So the membership director, so she's automatically in charge of that team.
Good to know.
Yeah, that's a question. So I'm on the bylaws committee. I think
Mhm.
that's the only one that's an official committee. Does that need a chair and a secretary?
Yes. However, so the function of the bylaws committee, the only purpose of it is to review bylaws submitted. They don't get to come up with their own. So they review bylaws that are submitted. They make suggestions to the author of the amendment. And if the author accepts it, then they make those conforming changes. And then they review the bylaws and recommend an order of presentation for the convention. That's it. And then the SEC either approves that order or they revert back to the order in which they were received.
Yeah, I'm aware that's the current standing rules. I intend to propose a change to the standing rules to make it a little different. But the thought is, can we just, how casual can our meetup be?
Very casual.
Okay, do we have to take minutes?
No.
Excellent. I love that. Thank you.
The only thing that needs to be documented is when a bylaws proposal comes in, who it was. And then if there were any conforming changes made or suggested. And then finally, the recommendation for how they should be presented and what order they should be presented at the next convention. And as a matter of fact, bylaws proposals and standing rules proposals submitted by the SCC do not have to go through the bylaws committee. So you can propose your standing rule suggestion to the SCC written prior to, and then I can talk down about it and encourage people to vote it down.
Bring it on.
All right, the time is 11:43. We are back in session. Talking about teams, first item in the team section for 5 minutes is gaming. Unfortunately, Mr. Schulteis isn't here, and some of this information relies on him for that. We have a gaming license. I would like for the gaming team to work on developing a schedule of events for holding poker tournaments within the districts with a major annual super poker tournament to be held in Indianapolis, with the local district poker tournaments being a feeder into the larger state one. Also, to be able to provide in what's called an exempt license for raffles for our county affiliates, streamlining that process so that that can be done for any of the counties that don't have their own gaming license. That's basically all I wanted to say about the gaming, but I wanted to get confirmation from Mr. Schulteis that he's updated our gaming license. Because if not, then we probably won't be able to start that process until the fall. As long as our gaming license is current right now, we can go ahead and start planning those for late spring, early summer. Any questions about gaming? None at all. Okay. Moving on to data. I'm actually going to turn it over to Mr. Lundy to talk about what's going on with the data team that can be shared publicly.
So we did the eCanvasser backend training, which Paul talked about. We had a couple different people on that call. It was me, Paul, Chris Groff from Hendricks County, and Eric Allen from Morgan County, just to spread that love around, make sure multiple people know how to do it. It shouldn't reside in just a handful of people. I'm still developing the eCanvasser user training. Hoping to have that done obviously by April 22nd for our Get Out the Vote event. So we have an actual slide deck that we can use over and over and over again. Analyzed reports were sent out to candidates who've requested data so that they have, something to look at as far as consumer data and what their constituents like, dislikes, what is important to them. So that's done. And I talked to Chris Groff. You had asked me at the last SCC meeting if there was anybody I wanted to add on to the team, and I thought long and hard about it. And then I kind of said no because I hadn't talked to him yet. But I'm gonna have him. I'm gonna kind of train him on what I do with the voter data on the SQL side, because currently I'm the only one that knows how to do that. And again, for legacy planning and things like that, that shouldn't be the case. And so he's agreed to kind of sit down with me, and it's going to be a long process, right? Because it's not like a super simple thing to do. So I'm going to train him on how to do what I do there, so that if something happens to me or I'm not available, you can still have access to that voter data. He can still pull things for candidates and get things loaded up in eCanvasser. So.
And I'll just say that when me and Danny were talking about this, I was like, I should probably do that training too, so that I can, brush up on SQL skills and be able to do it as well. And then, not have to run to Danny or Chris when I need that done. And I went, wait, hold on. No, it's better to just not have that be something that's on my plate or able to be moved to my plate, and just email the data team when we need a data point. So I just want to be proud of myself for not trying to take something else or be part of something else. It was a growth moment, as they say.
I'm proud of you, Evan.
Thanks, Danny. I will sleep well tonight knowing that you are proud of me. Any questions about the data team? And remember, district reps, all of our candidates, and even county chairs or county officers, we have an exceptional, top-notch reporting system to give you a snapshot of things to target, people to target, campaign issues, the demographics within that community, or even in that localized district. Please reach out to the data team and request those reports. And the report is the beginning step. After the report giving you the snapshot, then you can actually drill down to start targeting specific groups of people based off of their interests and their likes and where they fall and, all kinds of things. So have those communications with the data team, because that's what we have it for.
I'll give you an example from the reports I just ran. I was shocked by the way that the average Hoosier voter, only 12% watch basketball because it's Indiana. but it was like top of the list, and it does rank it by amount of change. Like, hey, people in your district are really different in this way. One of the reports I sent out, and I don't want to front them out because, you know, their opponents could be watching. In their district, in their town, they're 33% of people watch basketball. So if this guy happens to be a basketball fan or something like that, that is a way to connect to probable voters for him. Not something you would know without that report, right?
Yeah. Danny, I'll want to connect with you on that, especially since you made the point of LP national members and not our state members. Chuck mentioned that is also another quick win. So I'll sync with you on that.
Right on.
Okay, convention. Due to the issues with the CRM, we are not going to likely have the convention tickets up by the end of April, which was my intent. That does not seem like it's going to be possible to do. But we are still going to work on planning the convention as if. So I'm going to be working, contacting Ms. Schillings, and she did send me some information about a couple of venues for the extra events that we do, and continuing our agreements with the Forum Event Center, the caterer that we currently use, as well as the restaurant and catering team for the Sunday events, continuing those things. So that takes a lot of the guesswork out because that's right there. Something to think about is having a theme contest where people can submit a theme idea for like $10, a $10 donation. And then for every dollar that theme generates is a vote. And then the team or the theme that raises the most money becomes the convention theme. Of course, with approval by this board. So it can't end up being something that is damaging to the brand, offensive, or an attack on somebody else. So let me know your guys' thoughts on that in an email. Not right now, but just, give me your thoughts on that if you think that's a good idea. Anything that you would like to see done at the convention or not done at the convention, maybe that we've done in the past, please let me know. Any questions about the 2024 convention? I would love to tell you information about the 2024 national convention, but there is none. So, Mr. Schultz.
I'm assuming the answer is no, but I might just be wrong. Do we know who speakers are at all for our upcoming state convention?
No, that'll be like the last thing that we plan is
okay.
who the speakers are. And if you have suggestions or ideas, please feel free to send those to me and let me know. With the exception of the one. One thing to note is anybody who is a potential presidential candidate will not be allowed to be a speaker or presenter at the state convention. We will have a presidential candidate package. That is the only way for them to be able to participate. If somebody walks in and starts handing out flyers or putting them on the table, they will be gathered up and thrown away, and then they will be called out for doing that. You get a candidate package. We will have multiple options for that, from, povertarian level all the way up to Bitcoin billionaire, as available options. I am totally open to our state convention being sponsored completely and named after a presidential candidate if they want to raise the money. I don't care. But yeah. Okay, moving on to unfinished business, 2023 elections. Mr. Paul Copeland, do you have anything to add to the 2023 elections?
No.
Always be on the agenda.
Not currently. As I stated in my report, I'm still trying to gather the names of everybody that is a candidate for us currently and trying to expand that. If there are anybody that people know about that are not listed on the website currently, I do encourage them to get listed. I am looking to focus my support on all of our candidates, but there is definitely going to be priority to those who are working with us and following the processes.
I love that. I love that answer.
Okay, I'm muted. Okay, John, I will send that to you when at some point. It may not be until the meeting's over, but I'll get that to you.
Okay, I just thought if anybody else had it, they might just text it to me now. Bye.
One other thing, Mr. Copeland, or to add on to your workload, is any county that would like to have a letter sent out by the state party fishing for candidates, please contact Mr. Copeland. And we would be happy to do that. We will restrict it to, please let us know what offices you would like to seek a candidate for. We don't just want to send a blanketed, we want you to run for office. We'd like to have a targeted, we'd like for people to run for, whatever council district or whatever. And then we will send that out to people who qualify for that seat. They have to actually live in that district, and we can actually do that. We budgeted that postage, we budgeted that printing. We'd be happy to send that out. So please email political@lpin.org if the county would like to have that done. But also you need to also tell us when your next nominating conventions are, when your business meetings are, where you will reconvene your conventions, so that we can include that in there. Any other questions for Mr. Copeland? Okay, hearing none. There are 0 legal updates right now on the lawsuit against the state. So that's zeroed out. LPIN events. This is specifically for statewide events. One thing to remember, if you have a local event going on and you need insurance for it, it needs to end up being hosted by the state party. Send me that info as soon as possible so that I can get Sam Goldstein, our insurance guy, on it. And we can get that taken care of with you. Think about the state fair. We need to make a decision on if we're going to participate in the state fair. I will probably put out an email ballot next week, because I don't think once the application process opens up, it fills up really, really quick. And I believe that it happens the beginning of next month, I believe. So we may do that by email ballot if we want to participate in the state fair or not. Generating ideas for other events to have around the state, sponsored by the LPIN, please send those to me. Things that we might be able to do, ways that we can support our county parties by holding a larger event, please let me know. Ms. Hudson, did you have a question?
Yes. What was the dates for the state fair? Is it usually the end of August or something like that?
It's the beginning of August. It's the first 2 weeks of August.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments about state events, LPIN events? Okay, hearing none. Goals. Really, I just wanted to go over this again, just reminding people what our goals are as a state party for these different things. I'm not going to spend 25 minutes on this. Really, it's just boiling down to getting our candidates, getting more candidates on the ballot, preparing for 2024 with all of our candidates there, increasing our financing. Each district is requested to bring in $200 in new funding each month. Growing our membership, trying to get 10 new triple members per county per year. That's not per month. I'm horrible. I'm not that horrible. Events. I'd like for us to be holding at least one statewide event each quarter that's sponsored by the state party. That is a larger event. In communications, we've got the newsletter going out. We've got the 94 Society newsletter going out. Andrew Smith has been working with me. We've got some op-eds coming out from the state party. We've been posting things to the state website, state party website. So communications is ramping up again. So that's good news. Any questions about any of those things? This is more about this time. It's just thinking about those things and helping to achieve the goals that we set at our SCC meeting post-convention. All right. New business. Oh, Mr. Copeland, go ahead.
You had mentioned that we should have an increase in members. How, or do we know how that has gone? Like, who has been fulfilling their new membership requirements?
Because I didn't pull the report in a detailed manner, it's the one that I pulled right before the convention was for statewide. I didn't pull it for the counties or the districts, unfortunately. So we're starting with kind of the baseline of this month. I do know just from looking at what we've had since the convention, we've only had 7 new members since the convention. And it's easy for us to track where they came from. And so there's not a wild swing in, there's not a dramatic increase statewide for the goal setting. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So kind of look at the report that Kristen put out. That's kind of your baseline. Is basically where it's at right now.
All right.
So you're saying, Evan, it could be that Marion County is actually drilling those 7 new members because you haven't checked out the county level?
Oh, Kristen knows.
Verify that it's not Marion County. Hendricks County had 2. They are the winners.
Yeah, I was just kidding. I was giving a hard time for Evan saying he doesn't know the county level metrics and then, calls out Marion County.
No, he's
delegating. I know them. I know the county level metrics. I just didn't have those 7. Exactly. Gotcha. I knew it wasn't you.
Yeah, just stirring the pot there.
I think half of those were in District 4. So
yeah, you made me call it out. So thanks, Adam, because I didn't want to give Danny any more, All right, new business, data use policy. And this is actually going to be a motion. The motion was not submitted in advance. We do have the data policy that was submitted in advance. The motion that I would suggest for the author is a motion that they put forward stating to adopt this, to adopt a policy of requiring all volunteers to have a signed data use policy on file before being given access to any program. That would be my suggestion. But I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Lundy to talk about the data use policy proposal.
Yeah, so thanks. I appreciate that. For those of you, I sent it out earlier, so hopefully you all have a copy, and then I even sent a version 2 because Matt Kappas was kind enough to legal that up and make sure it had the proper formatting and verbiage for legal. So please look at version 2. And there is an Indiana code that requires you cannot use voter data for personal use, right? Like it can only be used for electioneering. So what I don't want to happen is one of our volunteers, and the example I like to use is, okay, I'm a roofer, and I go out and there's been a big storm and I'm knocking doors and this guy's roof was all messed up. So I go home, I open eCanvasser and I decide to call that guy and solicit them for my personal business. That would be a violation of state law. The LPIN could be fined and we could lose access to our voter data if something like that were to happen and it become a big deal. So by at least having a use policy telling people that they're not allowed to do that, that insulates the LPIN and helps reduce our liability on that issue. And so we are giving people access to voter data when we give them access to eCanvasser and some of these other things like these analyze reports and anything else that has a confidentiality piece to that data. It also details that when you are out canvassing and you're recording that data of how they responded, you're filling out surveys, that is also confidential. You can't just go talking to their neighbors about what their neighbors said. That's not okay. So just things like that. I feel like we need to have something like this in place to be professional. And like I said, to limit our liability. You can read it yourself and see what you think, but I wanted to present it to you guys, see if you like it, don't like it. And then I would make the motion that Evan just stated, which is we adopt this for anyone using the data provided by the LPIN prior to them having access to that data. Any questions, any thoughts, feedback, anything?
Why don't you vamp for a second while I type this out?
Yep.
So I will say that having been paid for canvassing work for the dirty other team in the past, I was required to sign something very similar to this. In fact, that does form at least partly the basis of what I've seen in the sample that has been provided by Danny. It's an important step, guys. It's something that'll insulate us. It's something that defines the relationship between us and our volunteers a little bit more formally. And it's a necessary step in whatever form it ends up looking like.
My only suggestion or hope would be that we bring copies of this to the events, that we're not gatekeeping people before they come, because that will keep people from coming. We want people to be there, have parked their car, said hi to everybody, and then we say, hey, sign this.
Correct. This will be part of the training on April 22nd on why this is important, and that we need everyone to sign one before they head out.
Excellent.
I would even suggest that, we have something that acknowledges essentially the same thing for the CRM access, but this sort of stuff should be part and parcel of becoming a director or becoming a board member. Because we're going to all be in executive sessions. We're all going to be handling voter data and accessing all sorts of stuff that we need a defined relationship for.
So I would recommend two separate motions here. One, passing the policy that I typed out below in the chat, and then one officially adopting the data use policy presented.
Does everybody have a copy? Do we need to share a screen or something so that everybody has a moment to look at it?
I'm sorry, Christy, do you have a copy or you need the screen shared? You've got a copy. Okay, I think everybody received a copy. Okay, so Mr. Lundy, do you have a motion to make?
So I will read what you typed out because it sounds great. I make a motion to adopt the policy requiring all volunteers and vendors sign the LPIN data use policy prior to granting access to that. The LPIN secretary shall maintain the signed policy record for the volunteer or vendor.
I'd second that. I'd second it.
I'm going to say that second came from Mr. Cotton. Any discussion? Okay, seeing no discussion, is any objection to adopting the policy as written? Hearing none, the policy is adopted. Mr. Lundy, would you like to propose another motion adopting the official data use policy form?
I would make a motion, we adopt this form as the data use policy form.
I would second it.
Seconded by Mr. Kinzer. Is there any discussion?
I have a question. Where will it be maintained at? Who will own it going forward?
C'est moi.
Well, it will be part of the data team's responsibility to make sure that it is presented to any vendor or volunteer. It will be the secretary's responsibility to maintain the record.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Question.
Any other discussion? I'm sorry, please use the hand raise button. Mr. Cotton.
Question. Should this data use policy be publicly posted on the LPN website so that it's readily available for any questioning, and so it's readily apparent that we have that policy in place to anybody looking at us?
I don't think it's necessary. I don't know that there's harm from it. Other than ultimately, if we did put it somewhere, it would end up being buried because we're not going to put it on the front page of the website.
Right.
So I would say it's probably not. It's not necessary to do it.
Right.
Once
It's
we move
usually,
into the-
you know,
oh,
something
sorry.
like that's usually put in like the sitemap.
I
Mr.
was
Lundy.
just going to say that once we move to Google, we will probably have this in a Google Drive somewhere, so that if another team is having a get out the vote event and the data team's not necessarily there, we can send them that link and they can print it off and have it at their event. Like if they're recruiting volunteers locally, because I see the need to make sure that this is easily accessible. To your point.
Okay, any other discussion? Okay, hearing none. Is there any objection to adopting this policy? Speak now. Okay, hearing no objection, the data use policy form is adopted. Okay.
Thank you, team. I appreciate that.
Moving on to item B would be Mr. Johnson from the 7th District requesting funding for Marion County.
Yeah,
Mr.
I will make it short and sweet. This is about the Indy Pride event. It's a large gay pride event in Indianapolis. Thousands of people come to the event. And historically, the Marion County group has registered and then paid for the event. For the past couple of years, we've been staffing it ourselves. So we would love additional outside volunteers. But last year's event was a huge success. We gave out gas cards when gas was super expensive in exchange for someone basically entering a raffle, filling out the world's smallest political quiz. We were able to collect over 600 email addresses. Some of the people were for the raffle. Other people just wanted to fill out the political quiz and find out what we were doing. But the ask is basically to see if the state party would be interested in basically paying for this large event, the registration, which is $500, and then helping out with some of the additional materials that we print out that is specifically related to gay rights and where the Libertarian Party stands on that issue. So if we are really trying to increase membership, doing that in large scale areas where we think we have a lot of young people who would be interested in our message, I think that would be very valuable for the state party to be interested in said event. Now, if the state party doesn't supply the money, we're still going to do the event. We're still going to ask for volunteers and whatnot. But since it is such a large and what we believe to be an important event, we were requesting some additional funding from the state. And so that would be at least $500 to pay for the registration fee. And then we spent around $2,500 last year after checking with our treasury on just printouts, goodies to hand out, Libertarian, Marion County material and that kind of stuff. So open the floor to ask questions and all that kind of stuff, but that's what the request was for.
I can tell you if your motion is to ask for $3,000, you're not going to get it.
It is not $3,000. It would be for $5,000 at the minimum. Hopefully for another 500. Oh,
5,000?
my bad. $500 for registration, and we're hoping for an additional $500 to pay for materials.
So your
like
request
printouts
is
and stuff.
$1,000.
$1,000, correct, total.
So your motion is to authorize a disbursement to the Marion County Party in the amount of $1,000 for assisting in the payment of the Indianapolis Indy Pride event.
Correct.
That's your motion.
Yes.
Okay. Did you catch that, Mr. Schultz?
Yes, $1,000. I did not necessarily know it was a motion originally, but I should have known better. But it's $1,000 to assist for the Indy Pride event.
Is there, before we move to questions, is there a second for the motion?
I would second it, Mr. Chair.
Okay, seconded by Mr. Kinzer. So we will open it up for discussion. The order on deck is Mr. Schultz, then Ms. Schillings, and then Ms. Alexander. Mr. Schultz, go ahead.
So as written, I would vote against this motion. I think since it is large, and especially since we're trying to get the Marion affiliate back up and running, I don't think there's anything wrong in giving a bit of money. 1,000 I feel is too much. Specifically, I'd like to see the district use most, if not all, of its already allocated $500 for district events to go towards this first, particularly because Marion's the only county. Grant County is a significantly smaller county, and we pay similar fees for a large event that we've had several state candidates come to. So also precedent, if this passes, Grant County will also be asking for money, and presumably others. So I think there's a balance to be had here. I don't want to be a miser, but we also, just want to be careful.
Yeah. And can I respond to that before we move on to the next question, Evan?
Nope, you need to wait.
Okay.
Sorry. Ms. Schillings.
I would like to second Clayton's response to using district funds for this. They're pre-allocated funds. And I understand that it is a large event for you. Every county has some sort of large event that we'd like to have additional funds for, but it's not always available. And I personally rely on fundraising efforts within my own county to help pay for large events too. So I'd like to see that original $500 allocation used prior to giving any additional funds.
Thank you, Ms. Schilling. Ms. Alexander.
I would be curious as to how much money the Marion County Treasury has on hand and how much they are also willing to put towards this event, as it is an incredibly large ask. And I will third the point made by Secretary Schultz.
Thank you, Ms. Alexander. Mr. Cotton.
So if this is a large event, I would actually question whether this might actually be a good candidate for a statewide event. And maybe, there's something fun matching between the state and the county party to go in on this. If you're looking for events to get involved in, and if there's going to be that much attention, it may be a good candidate to try out the process here.
I will just say, I'll interrupt you there and say that it's always been Marion County. And if Marion County doesn't participate, the Libertarian Party of Indiana would be considered a new vendor, and it is likely that we would not get a booth. Just FYI. Mr. Copeland.
Yes, there will need to be some level of involvement by the state party, as they do require insurance. And I think part of the reason why the request has been set this high and this big of an ask is because of the core group that has been showing up to all of our meetings is feeling a little bit beleaguered. They want more buy-in from the state, and they, especially for this event specifically, there are concerns raised by the guys that have been showing up that, that they won't be able to man it. I know that right now we don't have enough people to do the parade. So the booth only even has some questions as to whether or not we have enough participants to man it completely.
I'm going to speak here for a second, and then I'll recognize Mr. Johnson and then Mr. Schultz. So that actually just threw me in a totally different scenario, Mr. Copeland, which is I want us to do Indy Pride. It is a big event for us. It generates a lot of positivity. It answers a lot of questions. We've had a lot of groups that we haven't been able to reach out to before that have seen us there, learned about our history dating back to the 1970s. It's been great. I personally don't like Pride events as a gay man. It's one of my least favorite ones. I like the ones done in like Spencer, Indiana. I'm not a big fan, but that's me personally. I think it's a great event for the party. But hearing that there's a chance that it might not even be staffed unless the state party gets volunteers there, unless the state party is paying for stuff, that concerns me.
Yeah.
Hold on, Mr. Copeland. So that is a concern of mine, that we're going to outlay $1,000 and then it's just going to be 2 people working the booth unless we manage to get people to come from outside of the county to come to this event. That's a scary proposition. I will also say that in years past, we've only ever split the booth cost. We haven't paid for printing. I also feel that it should come out of the district fund first. That's typically what happens before when there's an ask being made, which you don't have to have approval for. You just email me and Michael and say, we want to use our district funds. Please send us this money. And then you use it for whatever you want to do. It's the additional money that becomes a question. So that's where I'm at with it. I'm going to have Mr. Johnson speak and then Mr. Schultz and then Miss Avery. We are probably going to need to extend a little bit of time on this. Mr. Copeland, where are we on time?
Considering it was an addition to the agenda, I don't know how much time we had allocated for this.
We had allocated 5 minutes and we can add an additional.
We're well
5.
over.
Yeah.
Okay. Any objection to extending by 5 minutes? Hearing no objection, time's extended by 5 minutes. Okay, Mr. Johnson, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll respond to a couple of things there. So we, with our core group of members, we were, the 6 of us were able to staff the entire Pride event and we were able to handle it. So we still are going to do it. It just is a lot since they have thousands and thousands of people walking through. A lot of people are interested in talk about it. And so having additional staff would be great. I think the $1,000 ask is, I would say, on the high end. I agree. I asked for the most possible. If you're willing to, chip in only $500, that would be perfectly fine. I agree that we can use the discretionary funds that we've been provided. It is just such a large event. And so to Clayton's point, I understand that there are other events that people would like to hold in other counties that they will ask money and support for. I am asking this because it is such a large event. There were around 20,000 people last year, and we collected over 600 email addresses for people that were interested in the Libertarian Party. People that scored in the top left quadrant for us exceeded 200 people out of that list, and so we've been using that. I understand that this is something that it is a Marion County thing to do, but the past couple of years, we just haven't had volunteers for other parts of the state or the state party. And so one of the additional asks was just, hey, can you help chip in the money? If not, can you chip in some time? And so I wanted to ask. We're still going to be there. I don't have, I'll be there the entire time. I'm just asking.
Mr. Schultz.
Yeah, and the morale point from Mr. Copeland is well taken, and showing buy-in from the state ahead of time, I understand, can encourage people. So I move to amend the motion to give $300 to the Marion County Party to assist in paying for the Indy Pride event. And then if there are future needs, that can be discussed at a later time. But I think $300 would be a good start, enough to show the Marion County Party that we're willing to help, but we also expect some buy-in as well.
Before I accept that amendment as on the table, as a courtesy, that is less than what we've ever given before to the county for Pride. That would typically, it's been 500, in fairness.
We haven't received those funds in the past. So last year we still haven't received those funds yet. So we've emailed
from Michael.
Yeah, we've emailed Michael and haven't received a response yet. So I'll deal with that with Michael offline. But Zach has been trying to reach out to him to get that money, and we haven't received it.
I did not have that historical context, and I was also speaking to people saying things like they'd like to see the district funds first, they'd like to see county funds first. I also kind of see district funds and county funds as separate. I think the district and county should be bought in. So I will just withdraw my amendment. I'm not gonna I'm not going to make a motion to give anymore, but if someone else does, be my
With-
guest.
The registration is around $500, so we would use up all of our county funds for this event alone, just paying
District
for
funds.
registration.
District funds. I think, Mr. Schultz, your amendment would be in order, because he doesn't have to get approval for the use of the district funds. So they're going to use their $500 to do that. So the helping with the printing costs and other expenses, and hearing that maybe we haven't paid, which is very possible that we didn't pay for last year. That's very possible.
But
If I
I have withdrawn my amendment, Mr. Chair.
if I can make a suggestion, Mr. Johnson, which is this, this is just my suggestion, and then we'll hear from Ms. Avery, Ms. Alexander, and then Mr. Lundy. Is my suggestion would be to table this amendment at this time, or table this motion at this time. Use your district fund for the $500, max it out, take that, come back to us, even if it's in any, I will sponsor, if you have a financial request, I will send it out as an email ballot, so you don't have to get sponsors or anything. I'll send it out as an email ballot so that you don't have to wait till the next meeting. One, let's get the whole thing. Thank you, Ms. Alexander. Let's figure out with what happened with last year, and then move forward from there. And if you need additional funding, we can have another conversation, and I'll send out an email ballot for you. Does that does that work?
Yes.
So are you withdrawing your motion?
As long as we discuss it for next time, I will withdraw a motion, or at least, we talk about this later on.
Okay, so the motion withdrawn. Ms. Avery, do you still need to speak?
No, I'll just hold it off for an email ballot if that comes up.
All right, thank you, Ms. Avery. Thank you, Mr. Johnson. With that, we would be moving into executive session, but since we will be adjourning immediately after executive session, are there any announcements that would be made as part of the announcement section? Anybody have any announcements, dates, times, things like that, Mr. Copeland?
I will steal this from Adam. We are holding an event on the 20th here. It is at a, let me make sure I have, because they recently changed their name. It is at the
Four Fingers Distillery. It used to be
Four
the
Fingers
1205 Distillery.
Okay, you mentioned that in your report, correct?
Yes, he did mention it, but I would like to see, I know we have a few drinkers in the chat, but anybody who wants to come out and have a good time.
Thank you, Mr. Copeland. Mr. Schultz.
Grant County on May the 13th is having our one and only fundraiser event for the year. We have a member who has a food truck, and we're going to get the revenue from that. But we're also selling baked goods. We're going to have a bake sale along with it because the food truck doesn't sell dessert. So please either come by lunch or dinner, or reach out to me with that. You can make some cookies or something we can sell. There'll be more on Facebook and stuff, but thank you.
Just watch out for Liz's cookies. Mr. Lundy.
Just a reminder, I mentioned it during my district report, but there is a tax day protest in Tippecanoe County at the county courthouse on the 18th. So go to that. And then, of course, we have the Get Out to Vote training. Come learn how to door knock, use the canvasser, all that on the 22nd in Mooresville.
Announcement for our next in-person business meeting at the Antelope Club. It is important that everybody attend this meeting in person. It is an in-person meeting, but the reason why is because Miss Lori Schillings has volunteered her time and her equipment to take professional headshots for the entire board. So be there and also look your snazziest. I expect Mr. Lundy to be wearing a tuxedo. But so please, please, please plan ahead. Don't get sick. Be there at the next business meeting in May at the Antelope Club in person. Ms. Schillings will be taking headshots. Mr. Schultz.
Can the rights to use these headshots be given to or purchased by the individual members?
Sure. That's up to Ms. Schillings.
I will hold no copyright for these images. You can use them at leisure for all of your professional headshot needs.
Thank you.
Now, the state party may charge $100 licensing fee. I'm just, just throwing that out there. Okay, are there any other announcements? Okay, hearing no other announcements, we will be going into executive session. Anybody who is watching at home, we are going into executive session and we will adjourn immediately after. So we are ending the live stream and the recording now. Thank you.